today's context was say that seeing is not enough and intent matters actually.
Look at the common man. Endless misery, dullness, boredom, fatigue, repetition, disappointment, hollow hopes, random memories. And yet, you can suffer a lot and still have zero intent to be liberated from suffering. Without intent, sir, nothing can happen.
Namaste, Acharya Ji. My name is Advaita and I am working at NIT Bhopal as a faculty member. We had the privilege of receiving you here. Sir, my question is related with today's context and a few previous mentions in which seeing and intent have got different notions. So in today's context was say that seeing is not enough and intent matters actually, or the decision making is important. In earlier context, and also it seems like example of a fly in the milk. In that we can see that seeing should be enough. If it is clearly seeing, then I could not get why do we need
Intent.
to even decide.
Right. Great question. And thank you for asking. See, in the example of fly in the mug, in the tea, in the water, whatever, intent is pre-existent and pre-established, therefore pre-assumed. In Advaita, that is done by the entry conditions. The entry conditions themselves necessitate intent in the form of mumuksha. Therefore, intent already exists there. Once intent exists, seeing is enough. Are we together, sir, till this point? Intent already exists there. The sage will not admit a student without intent. The student is tested rigorously. Sham, dam, titiksha, uparati. You have all this. There are just so many legends. There were students who were tested for 10 years before the teacher allowed them to sit in front. Do you have vairagya? Do you have mumuksha? Once that is firmly established, once the student has cleared the test, then he is brought in the process of seeing. So the intent and the decision are pre-existent there. They already are there. Only then the student has entered the process of seeing. Do you get this? Therefore, in that flow, we do not anymore need to talk of intent. Then we say seeing is sufficient. Because only seeing was missing, intent was, sir, already there. But seeing was missing. But that is not the case with, let's say, this audience. Here there has been no entry criteria. Right? They have not chased me for 10 years. I have chased them in all possible ways. So the intent itself is missing. Intent itself is missing. So even if seeing happens, liberation will still wait. Why? Because intent is missing. Therefore, I have to add that seeing is not sufficient. Now your intent is needed. Seeing plus intent both are always needed. Just the order has reversed. Traditionally, teachers have admitted those with pre-existing intent. So intent came first. The teacher would not admit without intent. The student knocked at the doors with intent. So intent was something you need not have to talk of. It is assumed as existing. Here I have to deviate from there. Therefore, I will not say that seeing is liberation. I will say seeing is happening through the sessions, through the process. If you are honest about it, then seeing is probably happening, yet intent would be very much needed. Think of somebody who has no problem with flies. Even after seeing the fly in the mug floating on the fluid, he would still sip. Intent is needed, right? Mere seeing does not suffice. Both these conditions have to be met. If I have intent but I do not see the fly, then also I will see and not reject. If I see the fly but the intent to reject is not there, even then I'll continue to sip. Rejection, neti neti, and liberation will happen only when both intent and seeing are concurrently present. The sages didn't need to talk of intent, but we need to. Yes.
But then do we say in the case of seeing the fly still drinking it, then do we say that seeing is not clear, that seeing is not good enough? Should we say that?
You could say that, but that is wordplay. Wordplay. You are still admitting that seeing itself does not suffice. There is something called clear seeing beyond ordinary seeing. That could be rephrased to say that ordinary seeing is just seeing and clear seeing is seeing plus intent. Much the same thing. We are just framing the equation in different variables. The same equation. Without intent, sir, nothing can happen. In fact, in the odd case, it is possible that even without seeing, purely on the basis of intent, liberation is possible. It is possible. That may happen. But seeing will take you, seeing bereft of intent will take you nowhere. In fact, it will only deepen your frustration.
Seeing here, I'm just in the meaning with the darshan, the philosophy, trying to correlate this word seeing with the darshan, where we mean actually that clarity of seeing.
Yes, sir. In the traditional parlance, darshan anyway never happens without mumuksha. Darshan anyway never happens without virah. Darshan never happens without tapasya. So the intent is pre-assumed to be existent. Without intent, nothing would happen. Also, to complete the previous thread, seeing can somehow be made to be a product of a process, though with great difficulty. But you can have a process to facilitate seeing. But it is next to impossible to have a process to give birth to intent. That intent is love itself. For that, there can be no process. There can only be patience and prayer. So out of these two, intent is the more difficult one, the rarer one, and the more sovereign one. You have no control over it. You cannot force somebody to have the intent to be liberated. You cannot encourage someone to fall in love with dissolution. Nobody knows how it happens. Love is just love. Right? But seeing, you can have a structure, just as we have a structure. The entire structure in the Gita program is meant to facilitate seeing. And when it comes to intent, I just shout and scold and beg and pray because I have no handle over that. Seeing, I can somehow bring about. By speaking in a certain way, by crafting examples, right? By having pointers embedded in the exams, I can facilitate seeing, I can catalyze seeing. Even if I cannot produce it, I can at least catalyze it. But intent, nope, that's your thing. Totally your thing. I'm helpless there. Intent is the bigger vacancy, always. Yes.
क्या हमारी छटपटाहट ही हमारी इंटेंट में नहीं कन्वर्ट हो
यस
जाती है?
यस यस, वो होती नहीं ना. वेटिंग फॉर गोडो यही था ना पूरा. Look at these two. Especially Vladimir. He is actually quite reflective. But he doesn't turn back on himself. This is a great missing link, that one can suffer for an entire life without turning to the source of suffering. And very mysterious. Call it Maya, call it a decision, the name won't help. Look at the common man. Endless misery, dullness, boredom, fatigue, repetition, disappointment, hollow hopes, random memories, daily hurt. And yet, the intent is to carry on. The intent is not to be liberated. The intent is to carry on. So it's just not automatic. You can suffer a lot and still have zero intent to be liberated from suffering. One doesn't know why, but that's the human condition. Maybe that's how we are physiologically. Even in their moment of deepest disappointment, do you find people disillusioned? They are disappointed from one thing, and now the illusion changes its object. Disappointed of one thing, they shift to the next thing. So disappointments we face, but disillusionment never arrives. That's the missing link. And that is not a bridge any teacher can build. That is something that the student has to do for himself. See what Acharya Shankar did. He said, you do this homework before you come to me. Mumuksha is not on me, mumuksha is on you. You must have mumuksha before you enter the gate. He didn't say, you come to me and I will awaken mumuksha in you. Even he said, no. Mumuksha is your own job. You come to me with mumuksha, vairagya, these things. Otherwise, what is the...
When he says, Kala kriditi gacchati ayu, kunchati asha vayu.
No teacher wants to take it on himself because it doesn't make sense. Shraddha. Again, something that's an entry criteria. The teacher does not say, come to me and I'll teach you Shraddha. He says, you must have Shraddha before you come to me. Vairagya. Somebody once, in fact, asked, he said, if all this is present, what is the use of the teacher? And I kind of agreed. If these qualities and intents are present, the teacher has a marginal role. And if they are not present, the teacher can keep breaking his head. And only very few are helped. Those who are, really sitting on the edge, only they are helped. The others, they just keep waiting for Godot. The really tough job is that of the teacher who attempts love, who says, come as you are. And that has happened in the past. In fact, we have examples where some teachers had very strict entry criteria all their life, but then later on they said, fine, I'm open, come. All are welcome. When you look at the saints and their love songs, they were not admitting through filters, were they? Forget admitting. Many of them were actually wandering from place to place, village to village, without bothering for the merit of the receiver. They would sing. And in some way, their contribution is higher because they helped even those who were probably not meant to be helped. Getting it? Think of Sant Kabir weaving and speaking and singing. Obviously, he is not put a security ring around. There are no IQ detectors or intent detectors there. Random, ordinary, common people, passerbys, they come to him, sit for a while, they walk away. This is tougher, way tougher. But worth attempting. No?